Hello, my tea enthusiast. It's Kitsa. Sorry it has been so long. We had a little bit of technical issues and we also moved. So it has been quite a while. A comment was posted to me not too long ago about somebody wished that they could drink tea, but it was just too bitter for them and they didn't like the taste. Now, some things that could cause this are actually really simple. They could have very simply brewed the tea at too high of a temperature, or they could have overbrewed the tea. Now, these are really simple things to fix and correct, and it doesn't take much effort. Whenever it comes to teas, each tea has its own brewing time and its own brewing temperature. If you drink a lot of tea, you really want to be familiar with your in particular tea's brewing times and temperatures. This helps to prevent from burning the leaves or overbrewing, because certain teas, like a green tea, are very delicate. They are very peculiar and they taste very bitter if you overbrew them. So for a green tea, their brewing time is 3 minutes. Their temperature is 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 74 to 85 degrees Celsius. Forgive me if I have these numbers slightly skewed. I'm in America. We don't use the metric system. Now, darker teas like an oolong or a black tea, those typically have a brewing temperature of 203 degrees Celsius, 203 degrees Fahrenheit, 95 degrees Celsius, and their brew time is about 3 to 5 minutes. I normally brew mine about 3 minutes, but that's also because I like my tea plain, so I don't add anything in. And so because of that, I like my dark teas, like my oolongs or my black teas, I like them a little on the lighter side. White teas, their brewing temperature is 185 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 85 degrees Celsius, and their brewing time is 1 to 3 minutes. And that's a tea, it's a little bit forgiving if you do brew it over, but you really should try to stick to the 3-minute mark. Herbal teas are much more forgiving. So their brewing temperature is high. It's 203 degrees Fahrenheit or 95 degrees Celsius. But their brew temperature is 1 to 3 minutes, but you can go as high as 7 minutes if you like a stronger herbal tea. Now, herbal teas constitute as tea that it is made solely from herbs or flowers. Like, for instance, lavender tea, chamomile or chamomile, depends on how you say it, hibiscus tea. Those are all herbal teas. And those, like I said, 203 degrees Fahrenheit and 1 to 7 minutes, depending on how you like it. Now, I've been brewing tea for many, many years. And whenever I first started brewing my tea, I was like a lot of people where I left the tea bag inside the tea while I was drinking it. And that resulted in a very bitter cup of tea. And sometimes it was so bitter I couldn't even drink it. Once I learned my brewing times and my brewing temperatures for different teas, it actually became much easier. Now, most tea companies actually give you the brewing times and temperatures on the package. I know that most places like Teavana, when they were open, David's Tea, they all have the brewing temperatures and the times for that particular tea on the package. But if you are like me and also make your own blends, you kind of need to know these times. My one that I've been drinking a lot of currently is a Hibiscus Green Tea. So because it has the green tea in it, I actually brew it according to the green tea instructions. So I brew it at about 160 degrees Fahrenheit for about 3 minutes. And this normally gives me a very good flavored tea that isn't bitter. And most people, you can use a thermometer, or if you do, you can actually get a kettle or an electric kettle that actually tells you what the temperature is, or you can set the temperature to where you want your water to be. But if you brew your tea on the stove, you kind of need either a thermometer or to know your visual cues. For 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 74 to 85 degrees Celsius, you're looking for the water to be moving and have a steady column of steam. But the bubbles haven't started forming on the bottom of the pan yet. 185 degrees is where you start to see the bubbles forming at the bottom of the pan, and they really have barely started rising to the top, or they haven't at all. Between 185 and 200 degrees, that's where you have the steady columns of bubbles starting to form to the top, and they're breaking the surface, but they're not a rolling boil. This is normally where I pull my water off about a minute after for my darker teas like my oolong or my black tea or my herbal teas, because right at this time is where it's ideal to brew them. Now, I use a kettle that actually does not have a thermometer on it, and mine's an electric kettle. That's what I normally use to brew my tea because it's quick and efficient. I've started noticing an audible cue whenever my tea is ready, but most places or most kettles don't have the temperature on it unless you can find one that does. The audible cues are harder to explain than the visual cues. So if you're just starting out brewing tea and you really want to know your brewing temperatures, I would honestly invest in a thermometer. A candy thermometer is probably your best bet. They're not that expensive, and you can pretty much find them anywhere. And I would keep that on hand whenever you brew your tea, or learn your visual cues. So I hope that answered the question, and I will see you in the next video. I'm going to try to post more often and start doing my reviews again. I really do miss you guys, and I hope that we can continue to grow. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and please leave any comments below. I would love to hear you guys' current favorite teas. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notifications. That way you can actually be notified whenever I update. So, bye guys. Till next time, tea enthusiast.